Hi, Dr. Jeffrey Mark here. Last week, I asked you, are you tired and does your energy level limit your ability to achieve more of your life's goals? I also asked, do you feel a little stressed with COVID, the heat, kids at home during the day, and the wildfires? Have you had to rely on caffeine more these days to just get by? We reviewed why fatigue is a problem with loss of productivity, injury from car accidents, and overall decrease in the quality of life. This week, I want to focus on the first of 3 myths about fixing your energy. We will review why it's not just about treatments. We'll review the 3 general categories of causes and why people still might have ongoing energy problems. Let's start out with this well-accepted axiom. Find the one thing to fix that has been keeping you tied at your current level of energy. Fix that, and you can move on to performing at your highest level. This is a myth that first implies that there is only one unifying cause, and secondly, the treatment of this cause will result in fixing the whole problem. It is a treatment-based philosophy. It is a traditional medical approach. People have adopted this philosophy and they've searched and Googled the latest strategies on fatigue, stress, and low energy. They look for the newest labs and evaluations, the proven diets, the most popular new devices. People think what's helped others will surely help them. People search for the one cause that started the problem. When they think they found the cause, then the search is for the treatment. People usually fall into one of 3 categories for treatments. The first is trying several treatments with the hope that one will work. The second is using one treatment that can work for many different causes of low energy, fatigue, and stress. And the third is trying a treatment strategy that works for most people with energy problems. The new functional treatment plan is to focus on the causes. We need to find the causes. Yes, there's often more than one, and that is before employing a treatment plan. We have to think outside the box and have a broad consideration for every possible cause. Each cause needs a specific treatment plan. All causes need to be addressed in order to have a successful outcome. The causes of low energy, fatigue, and stress come from 3 broad categories: infections, deficiencies, and toxic or inflammatory triggers. Infections are one of the most common causes. There may not be an obvious infection, and more obscure chronic infections such as sinusitis, Epstein-Barr virus, and unseen dental infections may be draining energy away as your immune system is imbalanced. Multiple deficiencies in key nutrients and minerals, hormones, or sleep decrease energy production. Finally, toxic exposures from chemicals, food intolerances, and organ damage from inflammation also affect energy levels. When we find all the causes, we can then address each cause with a specific treatment, and then we will see positive results. What I just described is the most efficient way for people to fix their low energy, fatigue, or stress, and not waste time on treatments that do not work. Therefore, if you're still trying to fix your low energy, fatigue, or stress, it's possible that you're focused more on the treatments and not trying to locate the root causes and address each specific cause. If you think you've addressed all the causes of your low energy, fatigue, or stress, but you still have energy problems, then 1, you have not discovered all the causes, or 2, you are taking ineffective treatments, or 3, your body is not ready for the treatments yet. We will discuss this in more depth later. Next week, we will discuss the second myth, focus on symptoms, labs, and more on infections, deficiencies, and toxicities. For those who may have had some more trouble the past week relaxing and sleeping, please feel free to download this handout on insomnia and mindfulness. You can see the link below in the written blog or go to www.allfunctionalhealth.com/blog. In regards to updates on COVID-19, some interesting findings and articles have reported several cases of COVID-19 reinfection. The first confirmed case of COVID-19 reinfection was reported on August 24, 2020 in Hong Kong and involved a 33-year-old man first infected in late March and then had, quote, reinfected and, end quote, 4.5 months later while traveling in Europe. It was found on DNA sequencing of the virus from the two infections that they were different, so that the second infection was from a slightly mutated variant. So technically, a second infection was not by the same exact virus. He actually was asymptomatic the second time, which was thought to bode well for the body's immune system to provide protection from a second exposure. Other case reports were from Belgium and from the Netherlands with similar outcomes. But then there was a report from Nevada where a 25-year-old Reno man contracted COVID-19 a second time, but his second episode was much worse and he ended up hospitalized, although not on a ventilator. This has, of course, caused concern because he didn't follow the comforting pattern of having some protection by his immune system after his first exposure. It is known from other respiratory viruses like the coronaviruses that initial antibody production may be high, low, or non-existent. We also know that there are other parts of the immune system at work, like white blood cells called T cells or T4 helper cells, that can induce antibody production or activate other immune defenses, and that some of these cells retain memory of past infections so they can ramp up quickly to similar future infections. If antibodies are made during an infection, we know levels go down after the infection and appears to be undetectable after 2 to 4 months in most cases. It is assumed that T cells with memory of how to deal with the virus, either from antibodies or other immune defenses, are available for rapid mobilization on a future exposure. This appears to be consistent with the other 3 case reports. But even with the T helper cells, we know, for example, in the flu, immunity can be variable from as short as a few months to as long as 3 years, and with new mutations and variations, flu shots are given yearly to boost the immune response. It is hoped that the Nevada case is an exception, that he had a variance in his immune system, but it's possible that we may not only lose protective immunity with the loss of antibodies over time, perhaps 2 to 4 months, but that in some individuals, a more vigorous response with a more serious infection could occur on the second exposure. This could also be due to exposure to a more aggressive mutated form of the virus. More studies need to be done, but this may mean that a single vaccine or even multiple vaccines given repeatedly may not be enough. It is assumed that herd immunity from 50 to 70% of the population would be protective, but there may be many cases of reinfections along the way, even with vaccines. The top 3 vaccine candidates are now in phase 3 human trials. There may be an alternative. The University of California, San Francisco, or UCSF, is working on antibodies that bind to the spike protein on the coronavirus. This spike protein is like a key that fits into the lock of our ACE2 receptors on the cells of our lungs and respiratory system. With the spike protein, the virus gets access through the cell wall and into the factory of our cells, allowing the virus to hijack the cell into producing millions of copies of itself to spread to other cells. Binding the spike protein distorts and renders the key useless, and the virus doesn't get into the cells and there is no infection. These antibodies can be administered through an inhaler, much like the ones asthmatics use. If we can prevent the spread of the virus through widespread use of these antibodies, we can hopefully eliminate enough susceptible human hosts so the virus cannot replicate itself and achieve an artificial herd immunity. Human phase 3 trials may begin this fall. Please see the blog on aeronabs on our website www.allfunctionalhealth.com/blog. If you have comments, questions, or want to learn how functional medicine can help with improving your gut, maintaining brain health, and optimizing immune function, call our office at 925-736-9828 or email info@jeffreymarkmd.com. For more information on supplements to boost your immune system, click on the link below or call our office at 925-736-9828 or email info@jeffreymarkmd.com. Take care and stay healthy.